No more boys will be boys.
No more, what's the big deal?
No more, just the way he is.
No more, he just has a temper.
No more, but he's such a nice guy.
No more, but he has such a bright future. No more, not my problem.
No more, I'll say something next time.
No more, why didn't she tell anyone?
No more, why doesn't she just leave?
No more, I'm sure they'll work it out.
No more, she seems fine to me.
No more, what was she wearing?
No more, she was drunk.
No more, he was drunk.
No more, she was asking for it.
No more, she never said no.
No more, not in this family.
No more, not on this team.
No more, we don't talk about that.
No more bystander.
No more ignorance.
No more excuses.
No more.
Hey, welcome back. It's your girl, Demetria Good with Unfiltered Unspoken. And I am pleased to have our special guest, Rene Michelle. Let me tell you, it's a special love for her. When I first started in this business, she was the first to put me on her podcast. So I have the pleasure to have her on my podcast. You see how the cycle turns, and I am so thankful for this opportunity right here. So before I introduce Rene Michelle, I'm going to read her bio to you. She has a stunning background, a stunning life experience behind her. She is definitely God's warrior. Rene Michelle is the mother of 3, grandmother of 9, and the founder of nonprofit Pain Out Purpose, Inc. I hope I said that correctly. PTP's mission is to help women, men, and children who are displaced to domestic violence, as well as helping them with the resources they need after leaving the facility to continue on their journey to a functional life. Rene is a survivor who has truly turned her pain into purpose. She has been an advocate against domestic violence and sexual assault since 2012. She has a smile that will make you smile and a rock and a community superstar. It is that genuine beauty and heart of gold that prompted the request for her as a raw beauty ambassador for a nonprofit that brings awareness to domestic violence and breast cancer awareness. Rene Michelle was awarded several awards. Her outstanding community services, which include the Metropolitan Phenomenal Woman of the Year, Trailblazer of the Year, and First Fitness Community Activist Award. She spoke at the House of Delegates to share her story of abuse, to advocate for 2 domestic violence bills to be passed. One of her great accomplishments is that she was invited to the White House by Vice President Biden for the It's On Us project, which fights against sexual assault. Rene Michelle has pushed to explore new territory to advocate and bring awareness by becoming an actress in 6 movies and acted in a stage play, which have been sold out successes. All while still donating her time to the community by provides parenting class once a month at the University of Maryland, assisting at the CAP Center for Abused Persons, and speaking to the Women of Charles County's Detention Center. And when she is not advocating for domestic violence and sexual assault, she is still out serving and protecting as a special police officer in the DMV area. She is currently working on the release of her 4th book, due for releases in 2023. Now, you tell me that is not a phenomenal background. You tell me this beautiful queen is not putting her work into the community. She deserves all of her flowers. I'm going to take a few seconds. We're going to be right back. And when we come back, you're going to see this queen tear this thing up.
His eyes don't recognize me anymore, but his hands keep attacking and I keep reacting like I can fix it. He lifts me up in a chokehold, but I can still feel one toe on the ground, so I figure he'll put me down any minute now. I try to whisper, I love you, and what's wrong? But his hold is too strong, and my fingers can't pry his grasp from my life. He dangles me there, feet in the air. I can't breathe, and now I can't see. This man has got a grip on me still. I am woman enough to leave this mess tonight. Strong enough to live up to a different life, to be more than some broken man's beat up wife. I will take flight. Cheek to floor now. One eye open, I see the door and his sounds of my screams getting caught on Jamaican shores. No one's listening for me anymore. Crawl away and he pounces, grabs me up and announces that I need his permission to move. Snatch the manhood from his body, I think, and take it to my grave. But slapping me around and handling things this way, he say, I deserve this beating because he's decided that I've been cheating. This man is going crazy, and now he's trying to make me the same. But all I see is the door, and I still believe I'm much more than this moment. I own this. I should have understood his angry outbursts and just how those chronic arguments could become worse before I let him marry me and met the other side of his violent streak. I've got nothing to prove, love. Just let me be. And since my pleas seem to make him rage, I pretend to be wrong. Pretend he is right. Let him sit on that throne and rule this cage tonight. Because I'm just looking for a little daylight. He traps me on the bed, batters my body, tries to get back into my head, but I know the truth now. I'll escape this kind of death, find hope if there's any left. And in this moment, my only dream is release. And when it comes, trust, I am woman enough to leave this mess tonight. Strong enough to live up to a different life, to be more than some broken man's beat up wife. I can take flight.
Rene, let's bring you on in. We're just gonna get right into this. How you feel, boo?
I need a second after that. Wow.
I seen your face. I was looking at your face over there. Oh,
I was stuck for me. That caught me off guard. I'm like, wait a minute. Wow. That was
supposed to do. God has blessed me with a wonderful team. I mean, Sid and Darryl have been such a contribution and a blessing in God's angels to the platform of the Good Fight and Unfiltered and Spoken. And we always want you to feel welcome and warm. So when you come back again, because you're coming back again,
I sure am.
You know what it is.
I already know. That was really beautiful. That just warmed my heart. Like, and it was, I mean, you did mention something earlier, but it just was like, that was really nice. Thank you.
Of course. Thank Darryl. Say thank you, Darryl.
Darryl did that. Okay, Darryl. Okay. Come through then.
So we're gonna let you introduce yourself, and then Sid is the Unfiltered Unspoken's co-host. She's gonna ask you a series of questions, and I'll be chiming in with you, and we just gonna go from there. Let's make it do what it do. Let's touch some hearts today.
Okay. All right. So you want me to just dive in and start sharing?
Dive in, and then Sid will give you a few. Sid has a few questions for you as well. So if you can go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we're gonna dig deep.
Okay, well, hello to those of you who don't know me. My name is Rene Michelle, And I am a national advocate against domestic violence and sexual assault, as well as a survivor of all of the above. First of all, I want to start by thanking Demetria for having me on her podcast. This is like, whew, and it's just happening so fast. It's beautiful. As she mentioned, we met, not that long ago, but we instantly connected. And her story was just so powerful to me that I was like, man, I don't believe in people meeting by accident. So, and I told her that. And I said, I want you to come with me, and she came and we're here now. But when I share my story, I like to share a little bit about my past so you all can have a better understanding of where I come from and why I move the way that I do. As a child, as early as 5 is what I can remember, I was molested by several family members. At the ages of 11, 14, and 26, I was raped. I eventually met this young man who I thought was going to be my knight in shining armor, and he ended up being more like a nightmare. He was really nice in the beginning. And then after, I would say about a 2-month period, I started noticing changes in him. He started to, I want you all, first of all, to pay close attention to some of the things that I'm going to mention to you because they're signs of an abusive personality. He started to tell me what to wear, what not to wear, where I could go, where I couldn't go. He isolated me, not only from my friends, but from my family as well. He started becoming emotionally, mentally, and verbally abusive to me. And then the physical abuse came in. And I honestly can remember the first time that he hit me as if it was yesterday. I told him I wanted to go to the store, and he told me, go ahead and come right back, which was unusual because I literally could not walk from my apartment to his apartment, which was diagonally across the walkway, without him going with me. I could not go to work. I managed a restaurant and lounge. He would come and sit in my job and watch me work. If someone said, talk to me longer than he thought they should, he would start a physical altercation with them. It got to the point where he got barred from my job, and then he started to tell me to leave the phone off the hook so he could hear everything that was going on. Needless to say, that didn't last, and he eventually started coming back up to my job, and he would just stand outside and wait for me to get off. And believe it or not, you would think that I would see the red flags and the signs and everything, but because of the fact that what I failed to mention to you all is that I'm a 2nd generation domestic abuse survivor too. I watched my father abuse my mother as a child, but I didn't see any of the signs, or I didn't want to see it. In all actuality, I actually thought it was cute. I'm like, oh my God, he loves me so much that he doesn't want to be away from me. He wants, to be with me all the time. But it got really uncute really fast. I go to the store. I come back. It takes about 15, 20 minutes tops for me to get there and back. I knock on the door where he stayed with his sister, his brother-in-law, and their twins, who were 5 at the time. He opened the door immediately, and he grabbed me by my hair and drugged me past his family, his sister, his brother-in-law, and their children, who sat watching television, and drugged me into the room. No one got up. No one said anything. No one did anything. He took me into the room and he began beating me, and he beat me bloody. When he got finished beating me, he stood me up and he turned me around to look at him, and he said to me, you're not leaving me, right? And out of fear, I said, no. He said, good, because if you do, this is what's going to happen. He took a gun and he put it up to my head and he pulled the trigger. He at that point began making Russian roulette a regular part of my life to keep me in fear. And it worked. Everything this man told me to do from that point, I did it. It was like I was no longer Rene. I was just like a robot or something. See, now the cat's out the bags. Now I see him for who he really is. Now he's shown me who he really is. So now the beatings are coming more often. Now he's beginning to beat me in public. We went to Union Station and we caught the bus there. We go there, we do a little shopping. On the way back, he out of nowhere, which happened often, he would get an attitude out of nowhere. And so he started walking ahead of me. We get off the bus, he starts walking ahead of me. So some guy thinks I'm walking by myself, so he's trying to talk to me. He turns around. I'm telling the guy, just, no, just leave me alone. He sees the guy talking to me and he runs back. The only thing that I could think was run, because I knew it was getting ready to happen. He was conversating with the guy and then I just ran. I started running towards the guy in the booth to try to get him to help me. He caught up with me. He grabbed me. I had a bag in my hand with some boots in it. He took the bag out of my hand and he drew back as hard as he could and he hit me in my head with the box, with the boots. I remember seeing stars, but I shook it off and I ran. I ran as fast as I could to the guy in the metro in the booth and I begged him. I said, please, call the police. My boyfriend is beating me. He runs up behind me and he says, oh, don't pay any attention to her. She forgot to take her medication today. So the guy's looking at me, he's looking at him, and he's like, he doesn't know who to believe. And I said, sir, please call the police because if anything happens to me, you're going to be held accountable. He said, dude, look, if you leave and leave because I'm getting ready to call the police. So the one thing I wanted to say as well, he did tell me that if I ever left him, that he would kill me. If I got my family involved, he would not only kill me, he would kill them too. And if I called the police on him, that he would kill me. So at that point, he did leave. And that was that was the one violation that I had did by calling the police on him. So I'm afraid, and I'm assuming that he was afraid too, because he did leave. So the one night I work, I get off really late. So I come into my apartment, and every night, this was a regular routine for me after he left. Because he would break into my apartment, I would go into each room and look around to make sure that he wasn't there every night. And this one particular night, I went in, the coast was clear. The second night, I went in and looked around and make sure he wasn't there. He wasn't there that night either. The third night, I come in from work and I'm feeling kind of, comfortable because he hasn't been there. I'm thinking, everything that scared him off. So I walk back into my room. I open my bedroom door and I immediately see him kneeling down at my door naked with candles lit around my room. And the first thing that I see after that is his gun up on my dresser. And the only thing I could think to myself was, God, please take care of my family because I'm going to die tonight. So I did everything that he told me to do that night. But let me explain something to you. I didn't have very much faith in God because I was like, where was God when I was being molested? And where was he when I was being raped? And where is he now? But what little faith that I had that night, I prayed to God and I asked him, and I was specific. I asked him to please get me out of this situation alive. And I would do anything that he wanted me to do. That night, as I mentioned, I laid there, I did whatever he told me to do. The following day, I'm sitting in his window. As I mentioned, his apartment is diagonally across from mine. I could see his apartment from mine. So I just happened to be sitting in the window, just gazing out of the window. And I see two females at my door. Now, mind you, when I tell you isolation is real when it comes to domestic violence, no one came to visit me for over a year. But I see these two females at my door, and he's in the bathroom, and I say to myself, oh my God, oh my God. I don't know who it is, but I said, I'm going to run to my apartment and I'll be right back. Again, he said, go ahead and come right back. When I say I ran like a freed slave, I ran. But by the time I got over there, whoever it was pulling off. I chased the car down. I banged on the window and I said to them, I realized it was two of my cousins that I hadn't seen in over a year. And they just out of nowhere decided, let's go check on Rene today. I told them to don't ask any questions, grab anything that looks important and run. We each literally ran into my apartment and grabbed a handful of my clothing and I ran for my life. But when I left, I didn't leave alone. I eventually found out I was pregnant by my abuser. I now have a beautiful 30-year-old daughter by my abuser. And as I sit here and speak to you today, I also suffer with grand mal epileptic seizures due to severe blows to my head at the hands of my abuser. But I'm alive. I'm alive. And I know for a fact that it's not for nothing, because you see that day when the helicopter flew me to Baltimore shock trauma, they lost me. I had 6 seizures in a row and they lost me. And I know for a fact that God did not blow air back into my lungs for me to sit back and be quiet about what had happened to me all of my life. And you see that day when I told God that if he got me out of that situation alive, that I would do anything. He kept his promise to me, and I've been keeping my promise to him ever since. So you see, as she mentioned in my bio, you know, I have a long bio, you know, but not all the accolades and everything are great. You know, I love the fact, I appreciate all of that. But what's more important to me is me meeting people like Demetria, me helping people to come out of that dark place where I was for so long, and that I thought, because I had no one like me to help me, you know, and my whole purpose now is to help women, men, and children, because it's not just about women. Men are abused as well. My purpose is to help anyone that is in that dark place to come out. And by me sharing my story, I pray to God that somebody that's listening today, it'll help them, at least one person. That's my whole goal, is to help at least one person to understand that no matter what you have been through in life, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and you can come out of it. If I can survive it, the majority of my life was trauma. And I thank God that I still have all of my faculties. And then instead of being on drugs or, you know, something that I probably would have been if it wasn't for God, I thank him, because I could have, with everything that happened to me, and I say this all the time, I probably should have been a mass murderer. I probably should be one of the most hateful, evil, not caring people on the planet, but I'm the total opposite. I will give you my shirt off my back, you know, and it's nothing. And I'm going to say this one thing, and then I'm going to, you know, continue, let you all continue. The question that I asked, where was God? Where was God when I was being raped, molested, when I was being beaten? I know now where he was. He was carrying me. He was carrying me. He was carrying that 5-year-old little girl. He was carrying me at 11, at 14, at 26, and through everything else that I have been through. He carried me through all of that to get me to here where I am today, so I can do what he purposed me to do. So now, as she mentioned in my bio, I have my own nonprofit, which is called Pain to Purpose. You know, I'm a national advocate and speaker against domestic violence and sexual assault. You know, I have contributed to helping to get bills passed at the House of Delegates against domestic violence. And, like I said, I have a lot of different accolades, but the most important thing to me is getting people to remove themselves from those type of situations, because I know for a fact how they felt. I know that the dark place. I know that dark place, and I don't wish that on anyone. I don't wish it on anyone. But I don't want to leave here with you all thinking that, oh, her whole life was trauma. It, the majority, a lot of it was, but like I mentioned, when I found God, he changed my mind about a lot of things. He changed my mind about a lot of things, and now that's who I'm living for, and I'm serving my purpose. So that's my story. And if you have any questions or anything, like I said, I hope and pray that someone got something out of it, and I hope that it resonated in someone.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
story.
And it's quite a story. We're definitely gonna have some questions for you. Like Demetria said, we're gonna take it real deep. So before we go into that, we're just gonna take a quick break. That was a lot. We gotta stagger the
Right.
emotions there, and we're gonna come back, get into the story, ask you a few questions,
Sure,
and hopefully open up this dialogue. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Right.
Looking forward to it. Alrighty.
Yes,
I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder.
Very, very, very powerful life experience, Rene. And
thank you.
this is the purpose of the platform, is to share others' life experiences and to help others that are going through similar life experiences. So I hope that we are absorbing Renee's life experience, because it is a blessing, Queen, that you are still here. And I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to come off. I'm going to let Sid, well, I can stay on, but I'm going to let Sid go into a few questions that she has for you. But I too also, I believe in God. I believe. But I also too prayed to get me out of my situation. And God gave me all these red flags and I ignored them.
Yeah.
And God got me out of the situation, but he didn't tell me how he was going to get me out of it. And it almost cost me my life. And this the good fight, unfiltered, unspoken, is a blessing back for God for sparing my life. He told me, you went through this. I've been with you since you were born. And he's still with me. And the messages and what we do is definitely a gift back from God. We're so appreciative just to have life.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to turn it over to Sid, because this is not about me. I just wanted to share a connection with me and Rene just to tell you that feeling.
Yeah.
Just piggyback. So Sid, the mic is all yours, boo.
All right. So while you were telling your story, I'll tell you the one thing that kind of stood out to me is when you said you were, a second generation domestic violence survivor.
Yes.
Now, with your father, you said being the abuser.
Yes.
With that being said, were your abusers from his side of the family?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Say that again.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I said, were your abusers from his side of the family?
It's the sexual abuse you're referring to?
When you were a child?
Well, yeah. My father was physically abusive. Let me say that. He was physically abusive to my mother. Not to us, which my mother was bad enough, but the family members were from his side of the family, some of them, because it wasn't just one, it was several. I was molested, like I said, from the earliest that I can remember was the age of 5, all the way up until my preteen.
In this journey, have you discovered any kind of ancestral trauma that family may have, that side of your family may have gone through to contribute to what you have gone through, what they caused you to go through?
Definitely. I actually found out that the people that did this to me on my father's deathbed, I found out that the same thing had happened to them as well. And then all of that anger and everything that I had towards them turned around into sad. I felt sad for them. I wasn't as mad at them, because I didn't know that had happened to them. I mean, they had to learn it from somewhere, but yeah, it definitely, yeah.
And Sid,
yes,
I think that was I think that was a great question, and to sit here on the panel, as a male, because so many people have this thing so stereotyped, whereas they believe that a lot of these things that transpires is gender specific, if you will, But I sit here as an individual that have been molested and have been through a lot of those traumatic life experiences. And, as I listen to your bio being read, and I listened to the question that Sid asked, I found some things that were parallel, if you will, with a lot of that what you were sharing, and so many accomplishments, if you will. And I look at my life with all of those accomplishments for me to discover from my trauma that a lot of those accomplishments for me, because I've achieved a lot of different things in my life. And I found myself to be a perfectionist because of those traumas. I found out that there was a relationship with that, because what I found myself doing was trying to hide behind success for acceptance, when I felt I was cast out, if you will, abused, and I isolated from that. So then what I found myself to do was everything I put my hands to, it has to be perfect. And I realized that a lot of that came from my abuse. And I didn't understand that association, because literally I read, and this is not saying this is yours, because I can only talk about my story, but I read all some accomplishments. And then for me, if I list my accomplishments and I look at my status or position, they don't equal. They don't equal.
And they don't, but it's a life experience. To me, a story is fiction and nonfiction. This is your life experience.
Okay, and I appreciate that interjection. But again, the life experience still is, you can have experiences, but if you don't learn from your experience, you probably will experience it again. And so that's why I made the statement. I'm not making a statement, and understand, I'm sharing my life experience. My life experience said to me, but it was only released by looking at someone else's experience. It didn't. It's not denoting saying not she. That's very improper. That Renee's experience was based on hers. I said her story released to cause me to identify Darryl's behavior and why.
No, I understand. I mean, it's the common word used is story. For the Good Fight platform, I use life experience.
But that's a practice, and I'll get to that. But and you know us, and I love this because this is good debate here for me.
Always.
Look at that, but you got to understand that the majority who may be listening know story.
Of course.
So if I slide out story,
it's okay.
You can convert it, but I want the ones that may take an opportunity to say, God, maybe my accomplishments and the efforts that I've been putting in my, out here is based off of this. Because if you don't find if I don't find the root cause of the why,
I agree.
And the only way I can find out, for me, Darryl, find out what the root cause is that I gotta say it.
Exactly. That's why we on here.
So that I can hear it to identify with it.
Amen.
Because sometimes someone else can trigger it that it don't give the same effect.
I see, because I could see today you're having more of a feeling and an expression. The other day when we had this conversation, you were more calmer and mellow. So I could see today it really Renee Michelle's life experience touched you even more because it's showing, it's coming out.
Well,
it's coming out a little more.
Well, okay, well, I don't think that it should be a level of the volume of what comes out or how it comes out. I think the greater thing is that it comes out. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Because some days I may not. You know what I'm saying? Because, I could wake up one morning and see a television show that may trigger something in me that I dismiss at the time I watch it, but I'll release it when I get to work.
Okay.
And those are the things that I'm saying that I have to talk about sometimes to give me the visual. Because sometimes I get a better visual, and I love when the trauma, and I want to ask, if I could, in the midst, Renee, of some of that for my seeking. You know what I'm saying? Because I like to be real transparent for me. You know what I mean? My questions are real selfish. My questions are questions that's directed to get something to give me some help.
There you go. That's what I'm here for.
It's not selfish. That is healing.
No, it's not at all. That's what I was saying.
Selfish, baby.
No, that's the purpose of it all.
Exactly.
You know, so okay, let me say yeah. To get better.
Good.
Oh God. But in the midst of that though, Renee,
Yes.
through going through that,
Mm-hmm.
and said, I'm gonna give it right back to you because you know you're called to do what you do, you know, and I apologize in reference to
Be
that.
into it.
You
Don't
know,
worry.
and if I can get my co-defender up there to just let me go. No, I'm just playing.
Go, boo.
But
Go ahead. Go
go
ahead.
now, how did you or are you dealing with um and I'm gonna jump out there. How are you dealing with the spiritual aspect of because truthfully speaking for me, my belief is regardless of what I'm going through, I got attached somewhere in my life that spiritual aspect to really get some true deliverance of it. That's for me.
Right.
But how are you dealing with because me being the male and being abandoned by my father, me being a male, being molested by a man, have a problem spiritually connecting because I gotta say father. I mean, I gotta say father. So what I see is male. And regardless of how much I want to separate the two, it becomes a struggle. You know what I'm saying? Because
Almighty.
I understand what you're saying.
Almighty doesn't change. I mean, Almighty doesn't change the trajectory that that father is a male. You know, dad is a male. I don't care what I title it, it doesn't change what the image of it is for me. I don't care what I call it. You know what I mean? I can call it Miss God. But yet I still know from you that it's always been portrayed as a he, which is male. So I'm saying how, because I think for me that it is adding some hindrance to my growth, trying to get through that barrier to get what is I need as far as the connection of it. You follow what I'm saying? You know, so what are some things, you know, how are you dealing with it, or how have you dealt with it, or are you dealing with it?
Well, I've been for a long time, I would not go to therapy because you know we in the black, you know, us as African American people, it's a stigma, you know, that I'm not crazy, and that's what I used to say. I'm not going, despite everything that I had endured, I'm still saying, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to see a therapist, and I think that I did. That's where, I mean, honestly speaking, before I even start seeing a therapist, me sharing was my therapy. That's what opened up the can of worms. That's what opened up everything because I held everything that happened to me in from the age of 5 up until 2012. I didn't say anything. I had been raped, molested, everything had happened to me. And I shoved it all down and I kept it and I carried it for years, from childhood until I can't tell. You better not tell. If you tell, you're going to get in trouble. I carried all of that. And then I held on to all of it until I was going to bust. I felt like I was going to explode. This one particular night, God, and I'm going to say this, God said, you better say something now. This particular night, I got on Facebook and I had never made a group before. And I just got up and I just started making this group, and it was called Domestic Violence Love Don't Hurt. That's what I came up with. And I got on there and I told everything that had ever happened to me in my life. That night, I didn't leave anything out. And I put it all over Facebook. No one could believe it. All of my friends were like, oh my God, it was an uproar. My family stopped dealing with me, some of them, because you don't tell our business. So I'm the black sheep, which is fine with me. But guess what?
That's what it is.
Guess what? That's right. But guess what? I saved a lot of people that came behind me because now they know who you are. So now you're going to think twice about touching anybody else because Rene done opened her mouth. I done broke that chain. So now they leery about touching any of the nieces or the nephews, or you know what I mean? So to answer your question, that was the beginning of my healing.
Mm-hmm.
Me just letting loose on Facebook. And everybody's like, some people were like, she's telling all her business, and why do you believe that all of that stuff really happened to her? That's too much. And she's still saying, when I say,
I got a couple people like that too.
Yeah, people are so cruel.
Mm-hmm.
What person in their right mind gets on anywhere and tells the deepest, darkest things about their family touching them and all the things that happen to me?
Someone that wants to
just
heal.
to get attention.
Someone that want to heal.
But can I ask you a question?
The family is supposed to protect us, but they hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
Whomever else. But we're supposed to protect our hurt and keep hurting.
We're supposed to just keep it. Yeah, we're supposed to just keep it, keep pushing it.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Oh, hell, my healing comes first.
Well, can I throw out to the panel
now we know.
a question? Can I throw out a question to the panel to help me? It's to all of you all.
Sure. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Can all of you all give me, and I'm not saying this to be facetious, what is healing and how do you know you heal?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for that question. So you know what? I wish I could hug you right now, Darryl. I'm giving you an air hug. and I'm going to answer that. Can I answer that question first, please? First?
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen to me when I tell you this. There's no time limit on healing. None whatsoever. I was judged there too. Oh, when I started speaking, when I got on the radio, I was crying. When I got on the stage, I was crying. I was just, oh my God, she's so broken. Well, how can she help anybody? And she's so broken. First of all, if you listen to my story, I was traumatized from childhood all the way up until my adult life.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, and don't you ever let anybody tell you that there is. There's no limit, no time limit, no day, no anything. I'm not totally healed. I will go to my grave not 100% healed. But guess what? With what I have in me, I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure nobody else suffers. Don't even worry about that part. Do what you need to do to heal yourself. Don't worry about what anybody says. I did. I'm like, why are all these people that are supposed to be advocates that I'm looking up to, why are they saying hurtful things? Why are they saying I'm not healed and breaking me instead of uplifting me? Because you know why? They saw the potential in me. They saw the God in me. They knew that I have something special and I'm just starting to speak. But all I'm doing is just sharing my trauma to help somebody else. So that's my answer to you. Is you don't have no time limit. It's no time limit. You could be healing for the rest of your life, but each and every day it gets better.
And better. Yep.
Each and every time you share, each and every time you get on this radio show and you talk what you're doing tonight, this is part of your healing.
Yeah.
You know what? I share that because one, the struggle that I got to deal with as a male, based off of upbringing,
Yes.
and sometimes you get to a point that I don't want nobody to tell me how to get free. I know what works for me to get free.
That's right.
I don't allow people to box me no more to say, well, this is how you should do it. This is how what works for you.
There you go.
For you.
There you go.
What works for me. I don't because sometimes the pain gets so damn great.
It do.
I don't want to be dignified when I talk. I don't want to be say it in a certain way because I've been living 50 something years. And a lot of folks don't understand when you got to be smile in the world's face and go into the fetal position and put that damn mask on when you go out the door to formulate, because sometimes expressing what you feel, you open the top and then people put it back on because of their belief, their choices. That's why I always say, I don't care how you express your feeling. I'm not judgmental to your feeling. I don't care how you say it. All I want for you to know, when you dump it, can you walk away?
Yes, and so
let me feel lighter.
I'm gonna will you back in, my brother. I want you to take a deep breather real quick. Darryl, your passion, I see what all of this is doing, and it's bringing out a lot of you. And I'm so proud of you because you're really starting this. I could tell you when we started here, it was now you are really expressing.
That's a blessing.
I could see that you will never fully heal, but you are starting to heal. It's starting to come out.
You are.
Share your life experience. You're moving, and you're getting better and better at it. So I let Sid and I answer the question. I want Sid to go out to answer the last question to Rene Michelle. So what do I define? You asked, what is healing and how do you know? I don't think no one can ever fully heal because we're traumatized, right? But like I said, the three words that I use: acknowledge, confront, and cope. So we're doing all those things. We're acknowledging what's going on now. We're confronting our lives and we're coping with them. We cope with them the best that we can. Even though I've been through all of that trauma, it took me probably I'll be 43 this year. So 40, 41 to love myself, to say that I'm finally at peace. Even though I love myself for once in my life, the first time ever, and I'm finally at peace the first time ever, I'm still coping and healing with things as I go along with my journey, because I know I will always think about this happen. I know I will always think about this happen, but it's where we find the grounds to love ourselves. And once we start loving ourselves, we start accepting all of the things that have happened in our life. Do we agree with them? No, but we have accepted those things. Now we can take our steps forward. And I'm gonna pass it over to Sid. I'm gonna let Sid give her response, and then I'm gonna allow Sid to go out and ask Rene Michelle the last question, because we have 6 more minutes left.
So I pretty much share the same sentiment. I don't, there's no expiration on healing. We pick up bad habits every day. And it takes a while to break those bad habits. So it's just a constant wheel of healing. And I do notice personally just, behavioral changes as to how I know that I've, healed. Things that are just normalized that you don't think is funny no more. Things you're not trying to do no more. People you're not trying to hang with no more. Falling asleep in the club. Like I'm done. Like you know what I'm saying? It's not. This is something totally different now. So I just it's just a constant wheel of healing. You don't stop. You after a while begin to pick up less bad habits and be able to fix them a little quicker. Be able to see things full circle and be able to forecast things, but you don't stop. You don't stop. Even with certain traumas and dealing with things after certain traumas, you might still react the way that you're not supposed to react, but the point of healing is you being able to acknowledge that and then reel it back and then make the proper channels to fix whatever that moment may have shifted in your life. So I just honestly, it's just behavioral changes for me, how I know that I've healed, but I am constantly healing.
Okay. Amen. Okay, so we're gonna let Sid close this out. We have a little under 4 minutes. Sid, if you can go ahead and close this out, ask Renee Michelle the final question and go for there.
So I do think with listening to your life experience, the biggest question our viewers might want to know is, what say him now? What came of him? Is he still walking around? Does he still have access to you? Has he been trying to get in contact? Where's his life at now? If you even know, how was he reprimanded for what?
Well, he like I said, that's my daughter's father. My daughter's 30 now. And he had a relationship with my daughter. She met him when she was 10. I don't know, we don't have enough time to get into all that, but she did. I never said anything negative about her father to her because I didn't feel like that was her business. The relationship I had between me and her father was between him and I. We were the adults. So I never said, and I was my daughter. My father, I watched my father be my mother, and my father was a great father, but a horrible husband. So with that being said, I, let my daughter get to know him, and he was a great father. And I said was because just this past September, the beginning of September, he was found dead in his apartment, and God rest his soul. I've been forgiving him so I can move on. And I had to forgive him so I can move on. Yes, I had to forgive him so I can move on with my life. I have a child and I have his granddaughter and my other children and my other grandchildren. So in order for you to even start the process, you have to forgive. And let me tell you something. I've said that I've forgiven people that I realize now that I really haven't in real life, but I'm a work in progress. We all are. We all are. And we human before we're anything. So yes, my daughter's father is passed. And if you could pray for my daughter and her brothers and sisters, because he had children and grandchildren, and he found God before he left here. And as I said, I forgave him, because at one point I used to wish him death every time I had a seizure. Because I had grand mal seizures and I would be bleeding and I hurt when he died. That's how much I forgave him. I hurt for my child. I hurt for my child. Seeing my child standing up there at her father's casket hurt, But like I said, Darryl, I wish I could hug you so bad right now. I really do. I mean, y'all are awesome. I love this show.
Are you coming back?
What? Y'all ain't getting rid of me.
We can actually. This can be a to be continued because we ran out of time. What y'all?
Yeah,
I had another good question too.
Go ahead. Let's go quick.
Well, I'm just my thing is, actually reading your accolades, hearing your accolades, and then also understanding that the people that imposed the abuse on you had been abused. My question is, what do you think is the parallel between someone that goes through that and chooses to do good and chooses to do bad? How do we get there?
It is in that person. It's something within that person to choose either. Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. We keeping it real. I already had my stripper name made up, Chocolate Thunder. Look,
hold on, wait a minute, Chocolate Thunder.
I was 2 seconds from swinging off a pole. Okay, let me tell you, this ain't all this greatness. All this greatness wasn't all, Okay, so with that being said, listen, it's within the person. I don't want anybody to feel the way that I felt. So I would never inflict the pain on anybody that somebody inflicted on me, because I know how bad I hurt. I know how bad I felt those dark nights when, I'm thinking as a little girl, I wonder if anybody else has the secrets that I have.
And they,
you know what I mean?
A whole lot of them.
Right. Now that I know, I do parenting classes. So I know that now. And another thing, we could go on. We're gonna have to continue this conversation.
We have to. I have one more question.
Sure.
I have one more question for you before we close out. I'm sorry, Sid. I have to ask this question. What advice can you give to parents for potentially looking at signs of sexual abuse within their child? Like, what signs did you give folks to say, hey, somebody hurting me, and they totally ignored these signs? So what can you give them? Like,
the first thing I say in my class, I teach a parenting class at the University of Maryland. Pay attention to your kids. Pay attention to your kids. If you see your daughter is cute little ponytails and all of a sudden she's wearing halter tops and shorts up her butt, she's not just some hot little, and I hate that. Oh, that with her little hot behind. They used to say that about me. Instead of asking me what happened, I was labeled as grown and hot. But little do they know I had been molested and raped all my life. So what I would say to them is, pay attention to your children. And when you see something, say something. It doesn't, and for the children, even if you don't feel comfortable going to your parents, find somebody that you're comfortable talking to. But don't be quiet. Don't suffer like I did for so many years in silence. I could have been healed a long time ago. But now you know better, you do better. Now I know better. So that's what advice I would give.
Absolutely. Well, people locate you, find you, social media handles, tag yourself, advertise yourself. You on our platform, so we want people to be able to, obtain your services, get in touch with you if need be, and just know that you collaborate with the Good Fight. So
definitely
give it to us.
For life. Okay, you can find me, Rene Michelle, just how it's spelled on the screen, on every social media there is. That's how it's spelled. If you want to contact me, you can contact me through Demetria, through the Good Fight, or you can go to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever. Everywhere I'm Rene Michelle. Spelled just like that.
And please come support my boo. Please come support my boo. Like,
same here. Come and support. Look, she's doing her thing. She is doing her thing. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, baby. Look,
great job. Awesome.
Remember when I told you? I said, you're coming on my podcast, right?
Yes, you spoke that into existence.
I did. I launched the Good Fight.
Look,
March.
I'm so proud.
March 7th, 17th, 18th. I launched the Good Fight, and it's October.
Yeah.
Look ahead.
Domestic Violence Month. And look at you. Look at you.
We throwing punches. Boom,
That's
boom,
right.
boom, boom, boom.
And we got a lot of work to do.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
We got a lot of work to do.
We need to sit down and see how we can partner together.
Definitely.
To do some good things in the community, because we already given the message. We have our podcast, and let me tell y'all, Rene Michelle has a podcast too, and I definitely when I'm after we get folks on the podcast, I definitely will be referring them over to yours. So
okay,
let's keep this cycle going.
Definitely, definitely. What I want to say this because you my girl, I love you to death. But Darryl, you touched me, my heart.
Yeah, he
You
did.
touch my heart. I don't know you, but I feel like I know you, and you really touched me. And see, remember what I started with when I first came on. If I could touch one person, I feel like I got through to you, and
You did.
it's blessing my whole life right now. It's blessing my whole. But I just want you to focus, just like you said. You already got it. Don't worry about what nobody says or thinks or anything. You already got it.
Yep.
You got it already.
I felt you this time. Like, I feel you, Darryl, but I felt you. I really felt you this time. That's why I was telling you, like, that energy was like 10 notches.
Keep going, though. Keep going.
That up. I'm proud of you.
Keep
I'm
going.
proud of you,
Keep
Darryl.
going.
I'm proud of you.
Keep going.
I don't know why she's saying that. She's saying that like I'm a 2-year-old. You know, you just partied, right? You just went to the party for the first time on your own. So
that's right. Because Rene, he's supposed to be behind the scene in the green room, but he done came in the purple room today. He done came. You brought him from behind the green screen, and he engaged, like he engages. But Darryl popped out. He came in. He had to chime in.
I'm glad.
But it's a beautiful thing because being a male and a female, the way that God just connected you to in similar life experiences. And see, this is the purpose of the good fight. This is the purpose, unfiltered, unspoken. It's for folks to share their life experiences to help someone going through a similar situation. And if God did not just oh my God, I'm sorry, I just had chills. If God did not just show what the purpose of unfiltered, unspoken, the good fight is about, I don't know what to say. Because he showed y'all. This is real. Let's heal. Let's heal.
Yeah, we have to. And there's no time limit.
No, it's not.
No time limit. No time limit.
Share them life experiences. Sham, are you going to be a monthly highlight for me?
You said, am I going to be?
Yeah, can you be a monthly highlight for me?
Sure. You already know. I already told you whatever you need me to do, I'm doing it.
Okay.
I've been in training and everything all day, all week. I just got off work and I said, I got to hurry up because I got to be on my girl show. Okay. I know. And look, you was on time. Ain't did nothing. I just came right in and like, I got to get ready for her show.
Okay. So I'm going to have to see
it. I know, baby. Doesn't this sound like, don't this feel like a church service in the pastor done closed about 12 times?
We forgot.
You know when the grown folks trying to lead a party.
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead.
They don't woke you up just to still talk.
I gotta even look in the camera to make sure I see all y'all playing. Well, Rene over there playing with her hair. I'm gonna play with mine.
Well,
we're gonna close out. Thank you for joining Unfiltered, Unspoken, and you have a lovely, lovely night.
Take care, y'all.